Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Willie Comic. We've made it through most of this week's books now, so I'm going to wrap things up with this week's Batman-related books. Kicking things off, we've got Batman the Brave and the Bold, number 9. As per usual with issues of Batman Brave and the Bold, we've got a multitude of stories. So, first off, it seems we are finally wrapping up the Batman story, The Winning Card. A retelling of sorts of the first time Batman and Joker fought it out. That said, a downside to how this story's been is that there have been delay. This is part 4, and the first part was in issue 1. So yeah, there have been multiple issues between then and now that did not have a continuation of this story. So it does kind of make it a little a bit of a harder, bit of a pain. Though I will admit that it does give the reader kind of a Batman had to recover from injuries and being sick over the course of the story, so then that time between parts could be Batman recovering. But anyways, Batman's going after the Joker. Alfred's giving him grief about it. He manages to track down the Joker. They fight. Joker stabs him. Batman loses consciousness as Alfred's on his way to Batman. But Batman and Joker fight once again. With Batman even telling a joke to the Joker. Joker tells a joke to him, and well, Batman's no, we just like different jokes. The joke Batman tells being, the Batmobile wasn't starting, so I brought it into the shop. I asked the mechanic to check the battery, and he looked confused, looking around, thinking about it. Finally, he looked back at me and said, "What the hell is a Terry?" Batman laughs, Joker does it, until Joker ends up telling Batman he's insane. But Joker is largely defeated, so yeah. Later, Alfred and Bruce go fishing, with Bruce baiting his hook himself, much like his father would. And Alfred shares some thoughts about everything. That basically Batman is not Gotham's long-awaited savior, but merely another victim of a terrible madness. And that when he was with the Joker, when he peered into the Joker's eyes, did Batman not see anything? Did he see something so familiar? But he also talks at a function at Wayne Manor later. He talks with one of his fellow socialite, Brute. With Brute telling him that Bruce will never be, the alpha of the city. Gotham's a city of monsters, and who the hell is Bruce Wayne? At Arkham, Batman talks with Joker, basically saying that this is the beginning of something, the two of them. But does it have to be? But apparently, Joker's been thinking about the joke that Batman told him. Saying he doesn't think that a mechanic would say that. He'd know what a battery is. And if you don't believe in the premise, then the whole thing falls flat. And that the joke's just not funny. But Batman says that he can say the same about Joker, which does cause Joker to laugh. And that's where the story ends. Next, we've got our Wild Dog, Here Comes Trouble, Part 3, where we left off. Gizmo whooped Mad Dog's bitch ass. And it's caused a little bit of a crisis of faith with Wild Dog. And so he goes to a Red Dogs game and tells his buddy on the police force that he's leaving town. It's not for him. You know, he's just a loser. He's been trying to be something more. But the university president, as well as the president of the opposing university, are escorted out of the field. And when Gizmo attacks, he's placed bombs under the seats. And Wild Dog reminded of when when the love of his life died in his arms. And so he makes a makeshift Wild Dog costume and takes care of Gizmo and his goons, and gets the president of the university to drop the lawsuit, so he can continue to wear the university's shirt. But apparently, another big city supervillain is trying to follow Gizmo's lead, moving into the Midwest, and that is where the story ends. Next up, we've got Aquaman Communion Part 3. Aquaman discovered a Dominator facility deep under the ocean, or at least a facility being utilized by the Dominator under the ocean, but it was a Gorilla City facility. Getting in, he discovered that the Dominators were attempting to were using taking advantage of a cultural divide within Gorilla City in an effort to take over Gorilla City as a pretense of taking over Earth. Aquaman ended up being sent to Gorilla City, tells Solovar what he knows, and even opens his mind to Solovar. And Aquaman leads an attack on the Dominators, taking them down and utilizing sea life to do so additionally. But in the end, Dominators retreat, and Aquaman now has an ally in Solovar. And that is where the story ends. Which brings us to our black and white story by Bruno Redondo, Nor is the Batman. So, Alfred is ruminating about Batman, what people see when they see Batman and what he sees. And he says he sees that, he sees a child. But he gives Bruce some grief about wearing the cape in the cave. With Bruce saying, hey, that way I don't have to worry about putting it, if I'm needed and if I need to leave, I can leave quicker by not having to put the cape on. The signal goes up. Batman deals with Joker, but takes a pretty bad fall, breaking some bones. Lucius Fox comes to see him and tells him that if you're gonna keep doing this, you're gonna need something better for swinging from rooftops than just a grappling hook and a rope. So how about a grappling gun? And while Bruce recovers, the signal goes up, and Alfred looks at it harriedly. And that is where the issue ends. Solid issue. Glad we finally got a wrap up to the Joker story. I do have to wonder if this is going to be the last issue, because all the stories came to their conclusion in this one, so there was nothing to be continued. But we'll see. Probably not, but like I said, we'll see. Moving on though to our next book, we've got Detective Comics number 1081. Where we left off, Talia had taken Batman's near-dead body from Gotham. However, the ship she was on encountered problems at sea. And while the ship sank, Talia and Batman managed to escape. And so she brings him to a desert known as the Ara, which is basically the desert. Meanwhile, there are two demons inside Bruce, the Asmer, gnawing at his back, and of course Barbados. But Talia brings him deeper into the Ara, leaves him with a seemingly broken compass, and some tea. When Bruce awakes, though, Talia's gone, and Dr. Hurt is there. Dr. Hurt tries to explain to him that he's not in where he is as real of a place as he would like to think. It should also be noted that this issue has two different stories running throughout at various points. So the other one focusing on the question, but Dr. Hurt manages to give Batman some guidance about getting through. And adding that the compass is not broken, it just doesn't point north. It points the direction you need to go. The question story, well, Gotham Forget Me Not, Ray Montoya attends the funeral of Detective Henry Fielding, feeling somewhat responsible because he wanted off the detail that he was on, and she kept him on there, and, well, now he's dead. She notes that his partner, Detective Nash, is missing. At least isn't at the funeral. But Batman continues his trek through the desert, eventually defeating the Asmer. The Question visits Detective Nash's mother and learns that he liked to fish. He had a storage unit. She goes to check it out, and, well, finds Nash's dead body, self-inflicted gunshot wound, and a confession that having killed Detective Fielding. But along the way, Batman runs into Farad, the first party thieves. He was a soldier once upon a time. Now, though, he simply wanders the desert, though not lost. But Batman continues his way through the desert, coming upon his first temptation. The Gotham that Batman saved. That's where our A story ends. Our backup story, because there's a support group. Start with a woman talking about how she met a guy in a bar named Simon. Very old school, you know. They first met in person, not on like a dating app or anything. And she met his friends, and they got married. They tried to have kids, and she failed. She was unable. They were unable to have kids the 3 times they tried. The last time, it became clear that Simon was disappointed in her. Then, she had to move out of the house that they lived in. It turned out that Simon hadn't actually been making any mortgage payments on his end, and she was worried she'd be liable. But it turns out they were never actually married. Her marriage was a sham. She called his friends after he disappeared, and well, turned out he hired all of them. Next, a guy who was inspired to become like Batman. And he was, you know, he got training, you know, physical and mental training, and then he went to, you know, he went out for his first patrol, and his grapple gun had no rope inside it. Then the man who was being forcibly put through exorcisms to remove himself from his body, led by a man named Dr. Hurt. And everyone realizes that the people in the store, it was all Dr. Hurt. And the man who brought together everyone wants to kill Dr. Hurt and wants the others to help. And that is where the issue ends. Very interesting. This has been a great run. Ram V is seriously knocking out of the damn park every issue. Moving on though to our next book, we've got Harley Quinn number 36. Where we left off, Earth 43 was being overrun by Omax, but Bud and Lou were there to help. Well, to help Harley. While Bud and Lou hold off the Omax, though, Lux and Harley go after Kevin. Harley, in the multi-ways, Harley has to go through use a device of Lux's, basically hypothetical situations and how would Kevin react. The first two go well, but the last one, if they're out to dinner, would he order soup or salad? And they find and rescue Kevin, make it back to Earth 1 with the OMAC versions of Harley's students on their trail. Lux states that they'll try and get some help. Harley does what she makes a quick stop to tell Ivy what's going on and make out with her a bit. But Harley gives basically the Omax want and are envious of personhood and individuality, and they kind of want that. And Harley is a prime example. She was basically forged in trauma, and but they're trying to get people to turn against Harley, so she'll surrender herself to the Omax. We have a backup story: Harley the Barbarian. Post-apocalyptic world. Harley is a cell hammer, cursed with a giant mouth, with a mouth that absorbs the souls of those that destroys. Riding a two-headed hyena, Budlu, but an evil king has tasked her with a quest to find his lost queen. And so she goes to search for. She searches the wasteland, cracks a hole in the ground, and totally not sword and sorcery John Constantine basically prevents her from getting the queen. But turns out that the evil warlord has sent his huntress to keep an eye on Harley. The missing queen is in fact the goddess Poison Ivy. She escaped and has been hiding from the warlord ever since. And so, seemingly, Harley returns to the warlord, seemingly to return his missing bride. But they fight. The warlord is defeated, and back at Eden, Goddess Ivy asks, hey, what would your, you deserve some, I can, uncurse you from the mallet. And, well, Harley just honestly just wants a kiss, and then, well, she wakes up at home with Bud and Lou on her bed, and, wondering why it's always right when she's about to kiss Ivy that she wakes up from her dreams. And that is where the issue ends. This has been the primary storyline has been fun. I kind of like these Harley's Dreams backup stories. It's definitely a fun concept for the backups. I wouldn't be opposed to how backups are done in other DC books, where it's a character at least tangentially related to the main character of the book having a backup story. But I don't mind the one-off dream sequence stories. They're actually kind of fun. Moving on, though, to our last book for the week, we've got The Penguin, number 6. So this is an interesting issue, kind of going into showing the evolution of the Penguin's relationship with Batman, showing how it evolved over time, and sort of retconning Penguin's origins. So, Oswald Cobblepot is a bartender at the Iceberg Lounge, which is owned by Carmine Falcone. He has a tendency to make it slightly smirk, which causes Falcone to order a drink and throw it in Oswald's face. Cobblepot used to work janitorial services, and a patron comes out of the bathrooms and they kind of wreck the stall. But he lives with an old woman who he claims to be one of his past foster parents. She takes care of birds. She saw Batman one night, and so Cobblepot has an idea. Eventually, getting information from, getting information to Batman from the patrons at the Iceberg Lounge. Even leaving it. So they talk. Colorado explains that, the woman that was one of the few foster parents he had that didn't beat on him when he was a kid. So he just wants to take care of her, because she's not right in the head. And so he constantly turns over information about Falcone's gang, including one notable point being that Paulo Falcone, the boss's brother, leads a raid on Ace Chemical with a few other guys. Batman manages to haul them in, though one of the lesser goons slips and falls into a vat of boiling green chemicals. Huh. Wonder who that guy could be. Maybe he knows some jokes. But Falcone wants to bring down the bat. Falcone's accountant gets brought in before when coming to town. And but Falcone shows up. Falcone gets brought in by Batman. Batman has given Cobblepot the money to buy the iceberg and run it himself, and all because his past foster mother saw Batman one night, and stating that because of her, she basically made Oswald important to Batman. Though at the end as the issue ends, Cobblepot while she says she's important, Cobblepot points out that no, you were important, and then pushes her off the building. And that is where the issue, as I said, that's where the issue ends. Yeah, that was quite the issue. I'm honestly loving this series. I think it's supposed to be a 12-issue maxi series, but we'll see. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.